Hi, I'm Rigger, and this is Your Right. And finally, the cutout has come back to Mirror Mirror. Oh my, it is good to be back. Hold on, before we get started, be sure to like the video if you like it, share it if you think others would like it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want to see more. But yes, it's been a little while. I had a range of tech issues that I was pretty open about, just life issues and stuff, and then I had to get the content made. But we're back, we're doing this, and we're just kicking off with a big episode. I'm not sure what the runtime is as I'm recording this, but it seems like a long script, so we're gonna be here a while. And of course, when I couldn't work on this stuff was when I was most motivated to do it, as is always the way. So, since it's been a little while, we'll do a quick refresher course. If you're new to this, Mirror Mirror is my concept I'm working on with you guys to construct this mirror universe of RWBY, what that might look like. Essentially, we're trying to make the world appear exactly the same, at least up until the end of Volume 3, but all the situations are really backwards. In reality, Salem is the good guy, Oz is the bad guy, there's big grand lies. It's all being constructed, so the things sort of appear and play out like we think they would, but then drastic changes happen and the characters turn out quite different and sometimes go into the situation really quite different. If you haven't seen those other episodes at all, it started with a theory video I did, which I didn't really think would happen. It was just sort of a discussion idea about the possibility of Volume 9 being in a mirror universe, so it starts there. Then we made our first episode of this real series where we made RWBY, and we discovered she was raised to be a huntress soldier, promised vengeance by Ozpin early on, and radicalized to become a zealot for Ozpin's cause to hunt down those who killed her mother. And then of course we did the next logical thing. We looked into Weiss, who is an ice-cold, sociopathic, single-minded monster who used Team RWBY and the Fall of Beacon to manipulate her way into power, now heading the STC and continuing the monstrous legacy that she takes pride in. Now, it's time for Blake, so let's get started. So, the reason this script is kind of big, and kind of why I sort of jumped the gun announcing it to be coming, because it took me a few extra days, is that addressing Blake means we finally have to delve into some more details of the whole world. You know, for RWBY we sort of kicked off the idea, talked about her background, then we talked about Weiss and the STC, and that was a bit of background, but here we've got to go over a lot more. We need to address how the White Fang works in this world, and Adam, and, you know, just lots of things. Okay, so this gets a little convoluted, I admit, but I think I can make it work. If Salem is the good guy and Oz is the bad guy, then why is there Faunus rights and the subsequent rise of the White Fang, and those issues still persist? You know, why would Oz allow Faunus rights to become a thing if he doesn't care? Why is the White Fang motivated to work sort of similar to how it is? We can actually make all that work pretty easily. And it's the same answer for why those problems persist, if, you know, why Oz doesn't step in and either solve them or crush them. And it's basically this. If you're Ozpin, then there is no better way to keep your position and have everyone think you're the good guy. No one's gonna believe you're the bad guy or question you when you openly support Faunus rights and the betterment of people. But also, by allowing the hate to boil and the issues to persist, in reality, it increases the infighting. Those issues of infighting keep the public distracted. It's big picture tactics. The infighting, the social issues preoccupy the masses. So it benefits evil Oz to let the people of the world keep fighting amongst themselves so they can't organize against him or realize the truth or any of that. But also, it appears that he's working to help people and be the good guy, so no one would think he's the bad guy. It all works to basically bettering him and his position. So if that is where Oz stands, it stands to reason that the world is pretty much in the same place as regular RWBY on those issues, so then the White Fang exists to do just what it does in regular Remnant. The bulk of the organization is fighting for Faunus rights. But this brings us to someone like Adam. Okay, here's where I need to slow down and appeal to you guys not to start Adam arguments in the comments, alright? This is not about real Adam, it's not a commentary on the character, this is Mirror World where things are a bit backwards and we're talking about a non-canon Adam in a different world, so I'm just gonna quash the fights, please. So, keeping all that in mind, how does this Adam and Cinder and Salem partnership all work? What is he fighting for? Okay, so I think that Adam to start is a strong White Fang member who believes in the actual cause. But when Cinder comes to him, she doesn't come threatening, she comes preaching the truth. We can sort the details of it out more later, but what Adam is within the White Fang is the leader now of a secondary movement within the organization trying to make the White Fang see the light that Oz is the real bad guy here and perpetuating the fighting. Stop fighting the human race, stop infighting and see the truth to help everyone. That's why he aims to take over the White Fang still, to try and change the direction of the organization. And Sienna Khan vehemently disagrees with this concept being a reality. If you'd like an equivalent, it's a bit like in The Matrix, if you've seen those films. Humanity needs to fight the machines, and all of the humanity can agree on that. All of the awoken people agree that is what they need to do. But not everyone believes in Neo and the prophecy of the One. That's a secondary movement within humanity. Same thing here. Adam agrees that faunus rights are worth fighting for, absolutely, and things need to change. But he's the leader within the organization with the idea that there's actually another bigger secret war between Oz and Salem happening, and that's the real cause of the issue. The real overarching problems in the world that's allowing the conflict with faunus to propagate and boil. So if he can take over the organization, he can aim them towards solving that issue. But the leader in charge now, which is Sienna Khan, doesn't share those views and is just trying to fight for faunus rights the way that she sees is right. So yes, like I said, this isn't an Adam episode, but all this is intrinsically linked to how Blake is. So this brings us to Blake. How was she raised and how did it go? So since things are backwards, that makes me think that the situation with her family is quite different. So yeah, Blake was born into the White Fang, but I think Blake was really more radicalized. Gira and Carly aren't reasonable, calm people trying to do things politically and the right way. They're radicals, they're violent, they're unforgiving, carving paths of blood to try and make a difference. So, Blake being born into that is somewhat the same. So this means that Sienna is elected because of opposite reasons to reality, where she is the more political-minded and calmer leader the White Fang wanted. They want to de-radicalize. Under Gira, they were causing too much bloodshed, and they think that a more measured approach might be the way forward. To try that more measured response, Gira and Carly are forcefully ejected from the organization, not stepping down. And then they land in their positions as chief because they still have a groundswell of support in the general faunus population who thought that they were making a difference. So they obviously don't have the big militarized force of the White Fang at their hands anymore, but they still hold a high position in Menagerie and got elected as chief because of their work and what they've done, and their beliefs are respected by a lot of the locals anyway. So, while Gira and Carly may have been removed from the White Fang, Blake isn't. She's not in a position of power, she's a soldier, so she isn't lumped in with her parents automatically. That starts to happen, but Blake has a plan for that because she's smart. Adam. She gets into a relationship with Adam and leverages it with his rising popularity, using those two things combined to keep her position, because now one of the stronger soldiers in the White Fang who a lot of people respect is also vouching for her. And yeah, Adam doesn't know the Salem truth and all that yet. He's just respected in the White Fang, and his word helps Sienna, who also is sort of more politically minded and fair, not just lump Blake in with her parents, but keeps her involved. But yes, unfortunately that means we need to address the mirror Blake and Adam relationship. Yeah, this Blake is being manipulative. I'm sure she does actually like Adam, but she starts out using it to jockey for position in the White Fang, and similar to real-world Adam, she's going to gaslight and manipulate Adam over a period of time to get away with her progressively more violent and questionable actions. At this time, before we progress, I think it's important to point out that I don't think this Blake hates all humans. But you have to understand, she was raised by people who, used violence to solve their issues, blamed humans in general for where they are, which a lot of that is fair. And also, because she was basically raised into the White Fang and became a soldier early, almost all of her interactions with humans are going to be negative, because they're going to be people they've run into defending things, people who they run into in the course of, their actions as White Fang, activists and causing violence. So she hasn't been exposed to anything to sort of make her question her values at all. And that's important. I don't think she's gonna, just kill a human on sight. It's not that bad, but it's still, pretty heavily weighted one way. Now this brings us to the train, and again it's basically backwards. Adam is leading this mini division of the Fang in Vale. He still doesn't know the Salem stuff. Yes, in timeline he's met with Cinder once, but turned her away, probably not believing it. We'll get back to that at another time. But on the train, Adam is organizing to steal the cargo, but Blake just wants to blow everyone up. Or just it's easier that way, and everyone on the thing is guarding the stuff anyway, they're not innocents. Or at least, that's how she sees it. It's here finally that Adam sees the light, and Blake doesn't leave, Adam casts her out. He hates to do it, but he uses his role in command to make the executive decision to excommunicate Blake from the White Fang, seeing as he was one of the biggest people speaking for her staying. He tells her that up front, and that he'll be sending word to Sienna to remove his endorsement for her. She's out. So, with nowhere to go, she splits the train and heads off. And I do mean nowhere to go. She doesn't want to go home and settle like her parents. She sees them as somewhat giving up, just settling for looking after Menagerie rather than making any real changes to the world. We might as well mention Ilya here. Basically, we're putting her along with Adam in terms of story. She was like Blake, but will come around to follow Adam in the future. Same story beats. But yeah, Blake decides that she can't make a difference in the Fang, she'll go to Huntress training. To be clear, what she's doing here is basically what Raven described. She's going into training to become stronger and eventually use the status of Huntress in helping her get ahead and make the changes she wants. She plans to use her special role and the special laws of being a Huntress to work for the cause. So now we're at Beacon. Blake does not really like humans that much, and she's prickly towards people like RWBY and Yang rather than her usual quiet. But she's smart. She's not going to attack humans or do anything that's stupid. It wouldn't be advantageous to her anyway. She is not happy to be paired with Yang, or be the only faunus in her huntsman team, but she swallows her distaste of it. Remember, Yang and RWBY are more driven and soldier-like due to Ty and their upbringing in this version. They are still like themselves a bit, but they have more of a bit of a serious approach to things, and Weiss is playing super nice with everyone, despite not actually caring in reality. Weiss saw the advantage of teaming with Blake to convince her father how much she cares for everyone, including faunus. She was just using that because it's useful to her image. So after they're put together, this continues until we get to the equivalent of Blake's past being outed, and it's Weiss being pesteringly friendly towards Blake, trying to build a relationship despite Blake trying to push her away, until Blake finally snaps and screams at the team about being horrible humans like all the others, and her obvious more radical White Fang rhetoric comes out. So she runs away, picked up by Sun, and I think perhaps in this version Sun probably always respected and supported the White Fang but was never able to get involved, I'm not sure. But we might look into that another time later. But essentially what happens is that Blake is made aware of the robbery then at the shipyards, and assuming her role with Team RWBY is over, she heads to the docks in hopes of rejoining the White Fang there, hoping Adam has returned to Mistral already and she may be able to weasel her way back in with the division left in Vale. However, upon arriving and seeing Roman calling the shots, she jumps in disgusted that they're working for a human, and then the fight happens. So you can see how everything sort of happens the same, but everything is motivated different. So how the aftermath of that shakes out is that RWBY and Yang are still by all accords good people, and Weiss is pretending to be. So when Blake questions why they're even out looking for her and why they came to help, they tell her that she's still their teammate, and that they'd like the opportunity to help show Blake that humans can be good too, and that they support Blake. They like the idea of equal rights, they really support that concept, and they want to help her in an effort to improve things for everyone, and they're being genuine, except for Weiss. So, best of intentions, legitimately. Blake has no other options or places to go, and decides to accept this, and not lose her chance to become a huntress, but also is slightly moved by this, feeling that it's genuine. Now, in broad strokes, that brings us to Yang. We're in a mirror world, so is Blake and Yang still a thing? Yes, actually, a much stronger yes. Out of everyone, and especially as her partner, Yang takes it upon herself to try and show Blake that there is good in people, and also show her that they really do care about the faunus and her cause. Blake, who wasn't really used to someone like this at all, let alone a human, is taken aback, really. She had real affection for Adam, sure, but she was in control of that relationship and was using it. This is someone in Yang who is actually pursuing her as a friend and being genuine and open. Her views are challenged pretty quickly here. She starts to respect Yang's approach a lot more, and her more regimented upbringing, like soldier-like for Yang, she actually relates to that. They sort of came from different backgrounds, but sort of had similar upbringings in that style. And also, weirdly, Yang is like the first funny person in her life, someone who actively tries to make her laugh and make her happy and make her life better. She goes to the dance with Sun, feeling like she has to be with a faunus, but it all quickly crumbles when faced with Yang. And Yang in this world was raised to be strong and not let what happened to Summer happen again. She's in an approach to also appreciate what you have, because you could lose it at any time, so enjoy it. That means that when there's an opportunity in front of you or something you want, you take it because it could be taken away. This changes how they head into how they feel about each other. They actually bond very quickly. and by the time we're in Volume 3, they're legitimately together already. It's not that slow build and perhaps more genuine build. It's two people, one who's radically had their views changed and who, has very passionate feelings, and another who is told to appreciate things while they have them and dive straight into this opportunity, and they, hit it off quite strongly. You might say that sounds a bit rushed, but they're quite different people at this point. Blake is coming around to some of Team RWBY's ideals legitimately. Oz's projected way of the world is sort of being influenced on her, and she starts having faith that they could actually make real differences and help the faunus too, which, despite her initial radical approach, really was her end goal. Yang is the light in her life that really shows her what humanity could be. Then, Volume 3 happens. Adam arrives having learned the truth from Cinder and hoping to strike against Ozpin. He also aims to find Blake and bring her back on side. He does still care for her and he wants to tell her the truth and let her in on how to truly make a difference, knowing that's what she really wants. However, upon meeting up with Blake, of course, she attacks him because he's destroying her newfound place. Adam then begins to basically preach to her about Oz, about Salem. So, basically, as Blake sees it, she was raised to hate humanity. Under these beliefs, she does what she can to make a difference. First, her parents are cast out of the organization, then later even her own partner casts her out too. Lost, she decides to become stronger and joins Huntresses in training. Paired with all humans, she really dislikes it, but over time they show her the flaws in her thinking and give her hope for the future alongside humanity, and is brought around to the idea of making a real difference in a more constructive way. The initial thing she resisted in the regular white fang under Sienna. And even that, she even falls for a human, the first person who's really brought her legitimate joy. All of that happens very quickly for her and really changes her life. And just as that's happening, her old flame arrives who threw her out of her last organization and tears down her new future in front of her, and preaches to her that despite even more measured white fang, she sees the value in that it's wrong, and really Ozpin, one of the people leading the idea of faunus equality on the human side, is actually a villain and they need to take him down. Honestly, she can't take that. This Blake, especially this more violent Blake, will hear no more of this. She attacks Adam, and he is forced to defend himself. Eventually, he stabs Blake, non-lethally, because she won't stop. He asks for forgiveness. He begs and apologizes and hates himself for doing it. He cries at the idea that he hurt her, but it's either that or he dies, and he doesn't want that either. And he needs to talk to her, so to stop her. At that moment, of course, Yang appears, attacks full blast, and Adam again defends himself, although he doesn't know this person or have a connection like with Blake, so he doesn't hold back and he cuts Yang's arm clean off. The only real difference here is he doesn't try and cut off Blake's head. She grabs Yang and runs away. Adam concedes that he won't be able to change her mind and makes no attempt to stop her, letting her run. Blake then returns to the school docks whilst holding an unconscious Yang, and then we get to hear what happens with the Weiss episode. Because that, while they're laying on the ground and bleeding, is where Weiss shatters Team RWBY, dropping the facade, telling them outright she was pretending the whole time and that they really mean nothing to her, and leaves. So that means that once again, Blake has had everything that matters in her life taken away, and also Adam was at the helm of that. Remember also, this is Weiss, who initially caused Blake to crack and always showed her undying kindness, and now it comes out that she was lying? RWBY is wrecked by this info and is spiraling and becomes a revenge zealot for Oz. The Academy and her Huntress future appears to be gone, and Yang minus one arm. Everything she has to rely on has been ripped away again. Now, it's good to mention that Blake doesn't immediately leave here. It's a slight difference, that she does talk to Yang after this incident. But this time, it's Yang that's broken. Yang basically is through giving Blake chances. She fought so hard to get to here. Everything is gone now. Because as Yang sees it, RWBY's now out on her quest, Weiss is gone, the Academy is gone, she can't fight anymore, she can't protect her sister, and she can't even make her dad proud. She can't help people, she can't live up to what was set out for her by her father and her parents, and it's all because Blake's past caught up with her. Now, she doesn't blame Blake for that, it's just the reality of things. Clearly they can't make a difference if that's how even the White Fang are acting now. If even the people saying they're fighting for the right thing are coming in and tearing down the schools, then what help could they be? So yes, when I say she was through giving Blake chances, it's not that, she hates her or anything now, or that she was giving her chances, it's that it's the last sort of straw. There was so much effort to make everything work, and then the white fang comes in and does all this, and specifically they were targeting Blake. So she tells Blake to go before she brings any more damage. She is done. Yang is done with all of this. They clearly have no future. So now on top of everything else, Blake is heartbroken. She goes home and Sun follows. But once she gets home, her parents do not approve of her either anymore. See, they see it as she's been weakened by the softer white fang. And when it comes out she was training in human academies, they want nothing more to do with her. Ilya is preaching for Adam's white fang, so that's a no-go for Blake as well. She's vehemently against that too now. Basically, she has nothing at all. She has no friends, no home, her family doesn't want her, her very own cause she fought her whole life for doesn't want her, her ex is now leading a crazy takeover of that cause and organization, and her other new ex has quit and wants nothing to do with her. And to top it all off, because of that, her whole team is completely disbanded and separate. She has absolutely nothing. So, she sees one way forward. The reason she can't be with Yang is that she's worried that Blake's past will catch up with her again, and hurt more people. Even Blake sees this as actually almost fair in her mind. So the only answer is to address that past, and that past is Adam. Adam screwed her out of the initial White Fang. Adam is now taking over the White Fang with his crazy ideas. Adam helped rip the Academy down because of those crazy ideas, and Adam literally took off Yang's arm and crushed their future together as a pair. So, then, this Blake sets out to kill Adam. Mirror Mirror Blake's mission is to kill Adam Taurus, reclaim the White Fang for her own, and stop the spread of this crazy ideology about Oz being bad and get them back on track. Now with her more measured and informed ideas about humanity, she wants to become the next Sienna Khan. That way, she can bring the White Fang around, perhaps try and restore peace and help humanity, at least in Vale, and then restore Beacon together, and hopefully through that mending of those issues, that will show humanity that the Faunus can help, and that will show Yang that there is hope and they can be together again once all those threats are gone. Or at least, that's the grand plan. Whew, that was over 20 minutes of backstory. Now we can get to the design bit. This video is already long enough already. I'm not going to build up to it dramatically. Anyway, so Blake's Mirror Mirror design is here. There it is. I'll give you a moment to get to grips with it before I take away the background, and there we go. So yeah, for this one, basically, Blake is on her Batman shit. It's kinda cliche, I guess, but I can't help but call it Black Fang Blake. So as usual, we'll start at the bottom and work our way up as we talk it over. To start with, we have the boots. The overall color scheme, I wanted to lean more into the gold. Real Blake uses some touches of it, like in her second outfit, but more than that, it's really something used in Carly's design a lot. I think there's a lot of Carly influence here, and in this world, Carly is the opposite of herself. So her compassionate, friendly, positive approach would be more like a violent, hardline, ruthless person. And I think Blake, especially going after Adam, is taking on a lot of those ideas in her approach to things. It's not steel caps down here or anything, but these shields on the front of the boots will help make doing rooftop parkour stuff and take impacts well and let her be doing her assassin thing, basically. It's also why the heel is basically just a wedge. It's more functional. I mean, a little bit of a heel, but not anything crazy. It's more really quite functional, and that comes out in a lot of these Mirror Mirror designs, is they are oftentimes a lot more serious, so they're a lot more functional. That's also why the shin and the knee have guards. Purple shield-like plates, I don't think they're soft, they're more like a harder plastic idea. The inspiration really came from something along the lines of rollerblade armor. The skin-tight designs with hard plates built in. So yeah, here we have a weird version of them with these, full-on thigh-high, skin-tight boots, but with these armor plates built in. It allows them to be, form-hugging and won't get in the way while still providing some protection. Just harder kicks, more shielding on impacts, etc. The armor pieces all have gold piping around the outline, which again, just looks kinda cool. They're elastic at the top, like pulling in on her leg, but just to make sure they stay in place, they're also secured with a black band with these sort of gold clip clasps. That has a more technical look to it, rather than the usual belt buckles we go for a lot of times with this. Just looks a bit more tactical. Above that, and what Blake is wearing underneath, are her usual sort of tight pants. And since the boots are black, here's where we start really leaning into the purple. We actually have a lot of purple base to the design. The big boots and the gloves give her a lot of black, and purple has always been her sort of alternative dark colour. Her emblem on her thigh there is just normal for her in white, you can just see it under the hand a bit. And the belt I've always liked in white, so despite the darker tone overall of this Blake as a person, Blake has always had some white in her design, so I had to keep some without making it too bright. So I lent more into the white for the belt, and I lent more into gold for the buckles to keep the gold theme running. But then you might question, well, if this Blake is being tactical and, darker, why the open midriff? It's actually twofold. One for free movement, which is why there's no big jackets on this design or anything flappy, but it's also to show her scar from Adam on her stomach. Honestly, regular show Blake stealths around a lot wearing large amounts of white, so even in universe it's not weird even if I made more of her white, but just in tone I darkened it down. But here really the exposed skin matters just as little, so it doesn't hurt her stealthing or anything compared to how she normally is. But yeah, the scar isn't something she's trying to hide as it feels like she does kind of with her regular outfits. It's a badge and a reminder of what he did. Next up we get to the gloves, and they sort of seem to be in a set with the boots. Hardened plates built into the forearms. I guess I should say, for material, I'm not exactly sure what the plates are. Again, they're not metal, more like hardened plastics, like again you see on sort of tactical gear, but they have a sort of shine to them. Again, we repeat the piping around the plate on the arm and at the hem at the elbow. You might have said, why didn't I do elbow pads as well? Honestly, it looked a bit weird having everything run up so high, so it just looked better this way, honestly. But also, fun note, Blake has never worn gloves in any of her designs, so it felt like a nice little difference here. On the back of her hand, there are these 3 metal gold pieces. They don't really have a purpose, they're not on her knuckles, although you could give a mean backhand with them, but it leans more into a cat-like design, honestly, which is sort of something that came up in this sort of overall look. Almost the idea of flashing claws on a black paw, except here of course they're gold and fit her scheme. There's sort of a bit of a Black Panther sort of thing going into this design. But yeah, they're like 3 raised ridges of sort of bulbs of metal on the back that sort of make it look like a paw if you were to make a fist. But next we move up to the top. I was thinking about how we make it different from others we've done. In general, we almost have no skin showing on the other designs, as RWBY is all tactical up to murder you and Weiss is doing her glamour queen thing. So for Blake, despite the tactical pieces, I wanted a more loner look, something less, put together. Something more personal. So the exposed midriff, the arms, and the deeper neckline feels more like a personal choice she might make. There's also a lot of long gloves and full sleeve designs around, so sleeveless was just something really different, and again, it also means there's nothing sort of extraneous to get in the way while being Batman. I do actually like that the shoulders of the hood here sort of do come to a point over the top of her shoulders. It just makes her silhouette a little stronger, I think, despite not having any gold trim, because it's starting to get a bit much if you start adding it to every line. It's why it's not on the bottom of her top or the top of her pants either, it just got a bit too overwhelming. I tried it, too distracting. It also lets the bigger, thicker gold lines up through the middle of the design stand out a lot more. Since I made the gloves and boots look like matching pieces, I also decided to make the overtop and the pants look like matching pieces, with the same sort of purple colour in them. And the double belts as well, and it isn't a common look to have the double belts like that. It's only later I realised that the midriff belt was actually quite like Ilya's outfit from Volume 6. That wasn't actually the total inspiration, it was also her secondary Volume 2 alternate outfit. Since the hooded top is mostly open though, I thought adding a belt makes it look more solid too, like it all hold together. Unlike her Volume 7 mini zip that's just holding her coat together, this felt a bit more solid, like it's always not going to slip around and come away. But here, under the hoodie, I added more of her white. Again, she's always had it. Here, it's just a simple white top, but with a bit of a deep V, and it keeps everything, decent. And it adds in the white that she sort of has to have, but it's hidden away under the more outer layers of the darker top. Not to mention that just a white-based top is in both her original design and Carly's design. It also feels very much like how you'd construct this outfit if you were living in warmer climates like Menagerie and be functional. You've got the hoodie, but it'd be too hot to have it all contained, so you wear it open, you wear a lighter top, you have your arms exposed, your midriff exposed, lots of heat to escape, and I think that's probably where she came up with this outfit at least. But yeah, I really think my favourite bit of this whole thing is this gold edging running up and over the crest into the hood. I have no idea why, I just think it's really cool. Also, I must address the bandana on her arm. Yep, it's exactly what it seems like. Just like Yang in Real RWBY has that suspicious purple bandana. Here, it's clearly a symbol of Yang, perhaps probably even Yang's, worn openly like the scar on her stomach as a reminder, and it's no accident that it's worn on her right arm. But also, as a fun little side note, it's actually the opposite of regular Carly, who has a purple tie on her left arm for some reason, but it's just fun. Around her neck here, I just have a solid gold ring necklace. No real reason except it breaks up the skin all the way up from the chest through to the head, and it adds to the gold, putting more gold metal alongside the belt buckles in the back of the gloves as well, to keep it mixed with the gold piping, which isn't really metal. Also, it adds to the cat look, obviously, like, a collar illusion. But now we move on to the head. So, a hood up is just something you don't see that much, especially for like the permanent design. RWBY and Weiss have had different hair on their two designs, and I wanted something different still for Blake. So here, I think it has been cut, but just short enough that it's more manageable, not like, the short bob cut, just, shortened by about half. And it's comfortable enough to be inside her hood without, being horrible. And again, not having the hair out means that this whole design is just a lot less flappy, it's a lot sleeker, there's no capes, no jackets. And yeah, her black hair is contained in the hood, but enough of it spills out around to frame her face, frame the mask, and hang down in front of her, while she talks or kneels in the rain, in the darkness or something, brooding, and, it can move dramatically in the breeze just a little bit. But I'm sure the talking point is going to be the mask. So, it seems to be a theme that we're hiding the girl's eyes, and this is it to the extreme. I took the idea of Adam's mask and decided to take it much further. This mask isn't flat, you can see it's chunkier, almost knight-like, it's like triangular, it comes to a point over her nose, and it's metal, centered over the middle of her face. Her bangs actually sit on top of it, hiding her forehead and lots of her face. It removes as much contact with her as a person as possible. Because it's a bit chunkier, and since there is this predator, hunter, panther thing going on too, I added these cylindrical fangs down over her cheeks to make it, quite different than the other masks, noticeably different. The eye slits too are way bigger and long. I mean, the usual white fang eye holes don't really make sense anyway, but these you can see are long, sleeker shapes that actually have like a feminine winged eyeliner look as they sort of curve up and all the way down, and they just have two bars to sort of break them up. However, despite being bigger and longer, the chunkiness of it gives it depth, so there is enough darkness that you still can't see any of her eyes. But yeah, the dramatic dark purple metal chunky mask that just gives you no hope that you're going to connect with her or change her from her purpose. Gamble Shroud on her back is just Gamble Shroud, there's no real difference there, but dramatic ribbon is dramatic. Lastly, up top, in concept, okay, this kind of is a little silly, but honestly, with the belted top on her midriff, and making the hem running all the way up over her chest, up and over the top of her head quite tight, and with her ears poking up through the top there as well, I think there might be a decent argument as to why this hood doesn't blow down when she's running and fighting, which is always a question I have in, like, anything with hooded characters. But more than that, it's purposeful that, yeah, despite maybe seeming a bit silly in concept, Blake is showing her ears here, and it really fits. Like her scar and the bandana, the ears are on open display to show her strong beliefs. She's wearing a mask that's like a white fang mask, but definitely not a white fang mask. She's wearing a symbol of Yang on the arm that was cut off on Yang. She's wearing her scar openly that Adam gave her, and she has her ears on full display. You will know she's a faunus no matter what. Plus, it really puts her Batman inspiration on full display too. But pulling back, that is it. That is the big return to the Mirror Mirror universe. I really hope you liked this one. I thought it was really fun. Blake looking quite superhero here with the, coordinated costume. I thought it was a bit different. I thought it was a bit cool. I'm quite happy with it. Believe it or not, this one went through so many versions. Like, there was like 6 of these Blakes before I got to one I was happy with. The first one looked a lot like Ren, I'll tell you that. It's strange. But anyway, I really hope you like the idea. I really hope you dig the concept. We had a lot of world building to get through, so I hope that was okay. And, let me know what you think. And if you have any ideas for future ones, obviously, yes, the next one to do is Yang. We touched on it here, but yes, I absolutely will cover her, and her episode won't be anywhere near as long as this one, I don't think. But anyway, that's all for this video. I can tell by my recording length this is going to be a hell of a long video to return to, but I really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making it. I'm so glad to be back doing this. Remember, please leave likes and shares and all of that if you like it, and if you do fan art or anything that amazing, please sure to send it to my Twitter because it's amazing, and yeah, you guys are so much more talented than I am at all of this stuff. But anyway, thank you so much. I'll stop wasting your time. Until next time, my name is RWBY. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I did alright.